Welcome to the Euphonium and Tuba maintenance and care video. Tuba and Euphonium are cared for the same way. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate it on Euphonium because I can lift it into the camera just a little bit easier. You'll notice that I am demonstrating on a upright bell Euphonium. If you're an elementary student or maybe even a 7th grader, the Euphonium you have might be what we call a bell front Euphonium, where it goes forward. And you probably only have 3 valves on the front of your Euphonium. This one has 4 valves on the top. Just understand that they are operated the same way. The first thing that we're going to start with is oiling our valves. The product that you will need for that is called Blue Juice. There's a lot of brands of valve oils out there. Please do not purchase any other ones. This one works really, really well in our hot, dry desert. It also has a special astringent cleaner in it that keeps all of that green and blue gunk out of our valves that are highly corrosive and ruin the instrument over time. When you take off your valves, we only want to do one at a time. I know they look like they're the same, but they're not. And if you get them mixed up, they can take a while to find which way they belong again. Twist from this part. We don't want to twist from the top because it's going to fall all apart. And while I can fix that, it takes a long time. So I'd prefer not to do that for you. You're going to take your Blue Juice and apply about 4 or so drops to the flat parts of your valve. And then we're going to insert it back in. You will notice that your valve will have a guide on it. On this Euphonium, it's this little white dot that sticks out. Some of them have a silver metal dot that's affixed to the side of the valve. Some of them have a brass one that kind of looks like this, but this one's white plastic. Some of them might even have 2, and there's 2 tracks inside your instrument to match it up to. This one just has one white plastic one. And you'll notice that on this side, might be hard to see in the video, but it should be pretty easy to see on your instrument. You're going to, it looks like a little railroad track inside. You're going to line up that little valve guide with the track the best that you can, and then let it drop down, and then secure that cap there. It should take several turns to go in. If it doesn't, stop and look at it because you've probably cross-threaded it and it's sitting crooked. If it only does 2 or 3 turns, it's not done right. Don't turn it anymore because you will ruin it. You will have to send that out to get repaired, and it's kind of an expensive repair. Okay? Just stop, back it out, line it up, make sure it's level, and try again. After you do that, you're going to press the valve and let that oil work itself in there. This is a process that you're going to need to do a couple times a week, maybe even more if you're a junior high student who has band every day. If your valves are not moving properly and they're very sluggish, meaning they move slowly, that means that you have not oiled your valves enough or often enough. The next thing that we need to do is grease our tuning slides. On this Euphonium, there are 4 up front corresponding to each of the 4 valves. So I have 1, 2, 3, and a 4th one here, plus the main tuning slide in the back. I'm going to go ahead and do just the main. Again, don't pull all of them out. They're not quite as hard to mix up, but they can kind of make a nasty mess if you leave them on a table or a bed or something like that. You're going to get your cleaning rag. You don't need to buy a special rag for this. You can take an old t-shirt and cut a square out of it, an old washcloth, an old sock, any sort of fabric material, and wipe off all of the old grease. You'll notice that it gets really gross. There's a lot of dirt and oil and grime. You're going to see lots of black and brown and green. That's why we don't want to use a fancy cloth for this. And now you're going to take your tuning slide grease. The grease that I like you to use is called Super Slick. Sometimes it's blue and sometimes it's red on the label. It's a good consistency, not too thick, not too thin. scoop some out with your finger and apply it evenly across your tuning slides. Then get your instrument and insert just one side at a time to work that grease into there. If you try to do both at once, it's really hard to put in, and sometimes they can get stuck or even break. So we want to give it a chance to do one slide at a time, and then you'll insert both sides in at once. Now I need two hands to do this, so I'm going to go ahead and put this euphonium down, and I won't fully insert it on camera because I can't quite do that right now. This is a process that you need to do a couple times a month. Junior high students, you're going to be moving your tuning slides quite a bit, so you need to make sure that these are well greased so that we can move them and use them how we should be. The final thing that you need to know how to do is very simple, and that is to clean out your mouthpiece. Your mouthpiece gets a lot of gunk and grime inside of it. You should be doing this a couple times a month. If you look inside and you see that it's got a lot of stuff growing on the inside, it almost looks or feels like sandpaper, you know you've waited way too long. Take your mouthpiece out and take your brush. Go to the sink and get some liquid dish soap like Dawn that you would use to wash your dishes, and warm water. You should be able to touch it easily. It should not be hot. That's actually bad for your mouthpiece. It'll take off the plating. Using that warm water and liquid dish soap, go through the back side at the shank, that's the skinny part, and through the cup. You should never pass this all the way through. It can actually get stuck, and that can cause a lot of issues for you and a lot of additional expenses if you happen to ruin that mouthpiece and permanently get it stuck in there. That is everything for tuba and euphonium maintenance.